Hey guys, welcome to Bow Hunting Soul. Okay, so yes, this is going to be another video about the Samick sage. I know it's been done to death, but I think that this bow has been overshadowed in the last several years because we've had some other newcomers come on in like the entry-level recurve or longbow in a traditional bow market. Now, the Samick sage goes by like 1,000 different names. Okay, Samick is the original company. They're Korean. But you can get these under the names of like Galaxy Sage. God, I can't even remember the multitude of names this goes by. I think even like PSC Nighthawk might be even like the same bow as this. Basically, if it looks like this thing, or Southwest Archery sells one, I think. If it looks like this is a Samick Sage. Okay, they're all pretty much like the same bow. And I think this bow has probably introduced more people to traditional bow hunting. I'm gonna go on a limb and say than pretty much any other bow, at least in the last like at least in the last 10 years. I know it did for me. So this is pretty much what we consider like an entry-level bow. But don't let it fool you. This thing is quite capable of pretty much like shooting, well, anything in North America, really. Not in my hands, because I'm not all that successful. But let's get by that point. So this, I'm gonna leave a link below, right off of Amazon, super cheap. I'm not supposed to list prices or anything like that, but just go ahead, follow the link, click the description, a little arrow below, open it up, go to Amazon, find it. It is unbelievably cheap. If you have Prime, it gets shipped to your house, and you can choose draw weights all the way down, I think from like 35 pound to 55 pound. Now, I've had Samick Sages before. I had a 40 pounder, I had a 45 pounder. One of them actually ended up giving away as kind of like a pay it forward kind of thing. Wasn't really a giveaway. It was just like, hey, someone, I had my fun with it kind of thing. I did some work to it actually, but we can get into that a little bit later. I decided to get another one of these just to see, if anything's changed on them. And really, honestly, nothing has. And that's really a good thing. Now, you can get some fancier versions with, without the knobs for the takedown limbs. They got like a little more flush pockets and bolts, some countersunk bolts that actually, go down and hit into here. Okay, so it looks a little bit nicer. But overall, the machining and the finishing and that stuff, I mean, it's pretty good for a bow that costs you less than 150 bucks. Okay, the bow itself is 62 inch. It's a recurve. Okay, so it's a 62 inch AMO. Now, it does not come with, this stuff. I'll tell you the stuff that I've done to it. But like I said, 62 inch, beautiful grip. It's a takedown bow, okay, and a beautiful grip. It's got a really nice riser. Very, very comfortable. I think if I were to repeat, if I could repeat this grip on pretty much any bow that I have, this would be just about perfect. Okay, I know that's kind of heresy to say for some of the really high-end exotic bows and things like that for some of these bowyers, but honestly, I mean, this grip for me actually works perfect. It's not too thick. This way, it doesn't, it's got a bit of a palm swell. It's got a nice flat surface here, and then it kind of swoops away a little bit for the the heel of your palm over here, and it's got a nice locator for your thumb. It just fits perfectly in your hand. The riser is pretty tall, and I'm going to show you a minor problem with it. It's not really a problem, really, but the riser is pretty tall. I didn't really measure it. Honestly, I have no idea how tall it is, but it's a pretty long riser. The sight window is huge on it. It's fantastic. It comes with pre-drilled and tapped inserts in here, brass inserts. Okay, so you can use this for a quiver. You can use this for, this one over here is your burger. It's a burger hole. It goes all the way through. It's actually behind this bare weather rest that I put in. You can use an elevated rest. You can kind of screw it in and out and that kind of thing if you needed one of those. I just like shooting off of a weather rest, but it's there if you need to. The front is tapped also. It's got an insert here for stabilizer. For the you guys that use like a Tacticam or something like that to film your hunts, it screws right onto there. Bow fishing reel, anything you really want. I mean, honestly, if you're into, if it's going to be an entry-level bow for you, if it's the only bow that you can afford, okay, not knocking anybody for how much they can or can't afford, or if you're going to use this as like a knock-around bow fishing bow or secondary bow or what have you, this is a fantastic deal. I mean, it's just awesome. It comes in a box. Of course, with Amazon, it comes in a box within a box within a box. It's crazy. But the box itself is barely bigger than this riser. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. You know, the box would be like out to here. Super compact. In other words, all of this can fit in a box, you know, about yay big. Okay, meaning you can take this in your backpack if you're gonna take this down. You know, you basically unstring the bow, you take the knobs off, limbs come off. You can change out limbs. You can change out limbs at different weights. Like I said, they come anywhere from 35 to 55 pounds. And you know, you can travel with it. You can put it in a backpack. You can put it in a hunting pack, what have you. If you're gonna travel somewhere, obviously, if you're out hunting for the day, you're gonna have this thing put together. But it is very, very compact. If you're gonna fly to a destination to hunt something, let's say on a whim, you're like, hey, I'm gonna fly down to Florida and go hunt pigs. Well, you can take this thing down, put it all together, put it in your suitcase, and you don't have to have a giant, you know, PVC tube or anything like that to ship your bow. So that's really, really convenient. The string, kind of a chintzy string. It's a B50 Dacron. Not great, not terrible, but not great. If you really wanted to, you could upgrade it. You know, I ended up having to reserve mine actually because the serving was a little too skinny and my nocks were not clicking on there. They're the gold tip nocks. They were not clicking on there tight enough at all. They were just kind of really loose and sliding around. So I had to redo that. I put in my, you know, I put in the, they're moving around a little bit because I've been messing around with them. I put in my my brass nocking point. I, you know, did the stabilizers. You know, just the rubber ones, the cat whiskers, and then of course I did my clicker. You know, so this bow actually is rated at this one here is a 55 pound, and I got a 55 pound bow just because I don't shoot 55 pound bows. And I kind of wanted to prove to myself that I wanted to build a 55 pound bow and be able to shoot it and tune some arrows to it, and I can't. I mean, it's stout. You know, I normally shoot like low 40s. But I have no problem. I was shooting this all last night. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do like a shooting video for you guys because all I have right now, as far as time-wise, is like 13 yards in my basement, and it's a mess down there. I'm not going to have, you know, do that. Just take my word for it. You don't need to see me shooting. You've probably seen 1,000 people shoot one of these things. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it. It needs a little bit more tuning. I've got some 340 arrows, some gold tip hunters that I put together for this thing with 100 grain brass and 250 grain tips. So a lot of weight up front. I probably should have gone with a 300 spine. I'm just not used to spines that stiff. Yeah, they're cut to like 30 inch or something like that, and they're flying really nice. And I can do a little bit more tuning, of course, to you know, to quiet the bow down a little bit. It's not loud, but it could be quieter. I could, you know, mess with the string silencers a little bit better. And other than that, I mean, it is just your basic stout all around. They've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of these. Now, as a fit and finish, well, you know, it's not fantastic, but it's certainly way better than that Sino Art piece of crap that I reviewed several months back, which is kind of like the version of like the Black Hunter or the Galaxy Ember kind of thing. Now, again, that bow, multiple people make it, depending on which factory it comes out of and the quality control that it goes through. You can have a really, really good one, or you can just have a piece of absolute dumpster fire that I got from them, and I sent it back. So those are the two bows. This one and the Galaxy Ember / Mandarin Duck / whatever Black Hunter are probably the two most popular entry-level bows. And those bows, like I said, have kind of overshadowed the Samick Sage a little bit, but I still think that they've been making this bow for so long, and they've got it down so right, and it's so comfortable, and it's got a nice mass weight to it. It's got a nice overall size. Like I said, it's a 62-inch bow. You know, it's recurve only. It doesn't come in longbow limbs or anything like that. But yeah, like I said, this thing's pretty stout. 55 pounds. I'm actually pulling, this is actually a little bit heavier than what it's rated. The 55 pound limbs, meaning they're 55 to 28. I pull 27, and on my scale, it's actually 55.19 or something like that at 27 inches. So it's actually a little bit heavier than rated, which, you know, whatever, fine. They're not going to be all absolutely spot on. And, you know, like I said, the fit and finish is pretty good. You probably can't see the little tiny kind of machining marks and stuff here on my camera here. But if you look in here, you know, if you get one, you can kind of see like little machining marks of when they milled this thing out. You know, there's kind of a little bit of a waviness to it here, so you can feel a little high spot. But it doesn't affect anything, you know, because I mean, you're shooting off of this point right here. You don't really care about this. You know, you can see some of that stuff. You can see over here, I believe, if you can see that right there. See how the riser sits proud of the limb, you know, so you can see it there. You can see the height difference there. Well, what you can do on this one, if you feel so inclined, and I did this on one of my previous Samick stages, I took this off, you take off the limbs, you take off the limb pockets, which are these things right here, okay? There's two screws that hold this limb pocket into here, and you can take those out and, you know, tape off some of the brass and things like that. And what I did is I don't like sharp edges, and I actually sanded, you know, just lightly sanded these edges. It kind of rounded it a little bit. I mean, you can just do it with, you know, by hand with a sandpaper. Just kind of rounded some of the stuff. I made, you know, this flush with the limb so it didn't sit proud. And I actually I sanded it down, and I applied, I don't know how many coats, 3-4 coats of like linseed oil, or you can do true oil or tung oil, anything you want. And it actually ended up really, really nice. Some people actually paint these all black. Some people, you know, paint them camo. So, and most people just leave them as is. But I mean, if you think it's a little bit blocky and squarish or whatever, trust me, you can buy this very, very affordable bow. Get some, you know, get $5 in sandpaper and a $5 bottle of like tung oil, like I said, true oil, linseed oil, whatever, and just go to town on it, and it will actually look. You can actually customize your Samick sage, and I would encourage you to do that if that's what you want to do. You know, so you can do, like I said, all sorts of things. You can put on different silencers. You can put on different string. But other than that, this is a solid bow. So I'm going to leave a link below. It's Christmas time. If you are looking for a second bow, if you're looking to get a present for your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, what kids, what have you, this is a great option. It's time tested. It's proven. The quality control is definitely there. There's always going to be people saying, oh, well, I got my Samick sage and I found a crack in the riser after X many shots. Well, they make thousands and thousands and thousands of these. Okay, and I think, personally, in my opinion, the quality control and the level of just sorted outedness, okay, if that's a word, that you get with the Samick sage is beyond what you get with, like I said, some of these, you know, the Black Hunter and the Galaxy Ember and that kind of thing. Not to poo-poo all those brands, but this is still a very super cheap, affordable, proven, viable option. I don't like the rest that comes on here. It's an elevated rest, kind of like this. I can't remember what it's. You know, it's like a little plastic arm, but it's really loud when you're drawing your arrow across it. So I did the bare weather rest on here, and it's super silent. I love shooting off these things. So anyway, all right. So in the next quick little segment here, I'm going to put the quiver on this thing, and I'm going to show you just kind of the not a problem, but something to think about when you're putting a quiver on this thing. I'll show you that in just one second. All right. So here's what I was talking about. I've got a quiver on here now. This is a Selway strap-on quiver. By the way, I love Selway quivers. Fantastic. Another great option obviously would be a Great Northern. Those are the two I would only ever recommend, but I'm a Selway guy. I love Selway. But if you look at how big this riser is, if you notice, it's so long that, you know, when you attach this quiver, if it's a strap-on style, okay, I can't really shove this any further this way because it opens up this rubber too much. It's not really meant for that. It's kind of meant to be at the fade outs, and it fits almost every other bow I have. So if you're looking at this going, well, just slide it down further. Well, I can't. Okay, I can, but it's going to open up this thing a little too much. I don't want to do that. Same with over here. You see that? Okay, so this is kind of where it's going to end up. Well, because this riser is so big, it's so long, look how, you know, I've got my arrows in there, not very deep. Okay, I mean, I've got them, there's field tips, right? They're popping out, and they're just barely in there. Well, if you look at it now, the feathers, okay, if I have it, well, like that, I mean, there's not a lot of clearance here. If you look at some of these, how close they are to the gripper, Okay, and these are like 29.5, 30-inch arrows. They're not like super short arrows, by the way. They're not super long, but they're not super short arrows. So it's just something to think about. Okay, that's just something to think about. If you need, you know, because the riser is so big, you're going to need an arrow to span a long ways. And if you're going to get this for, I don't know, someone with a shorter draw length, you know, women usually have a shorter draw lengths, or kids or something like that. Their arrows are probably going to be smaller, and you might run into issues like that. But like I said, the side over here is tapped. The riser is drilled and tapped. There's inserts in there, so you can use a bolt-on side-mounted quiver, like a quickie quiver, or, you know, tight spot, anything you can use for, let's say, like on a compound bow. So it's just not, you know, it's not that big a deal. It's just something to think about. You know, some of these traditional quivers may not quite, you know, fit with your arrow that you have on there. But anyway, other than that, I'm going to stop rambling. Samick Sage, fantastic bow, fantastic option, even with some of the newer, you know, entries into the market. I'm going to leave a link below. It's an Amazon affiliate link. If you guys are doing any kind of Christmas shopping, I greatly appreciate it if you click on that link and go to Amazon through there. You can use Prime, you can use whatever. You don't have to buy this bow. You can go buy yourself, you know, a pair of tube socks. It still supports the channel. I greatly appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. Hope you guys' Christmas is great. Hope you guys are going to get the gifts that you want. Maybe it's one of these things. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.